What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Truth, where today we're going to look over last week's games for the NFL, and then we're going to look at this week's games for college football. So going through it, we got the Browns versus the Titans. This was kind of surprising just because I didn't think they were going to score this many points on them. 27-3 is I didn't think the Titans were going to do as bad. I thought their defense was going to keep them in there more. But, I mean, I'm not surprised the Browns won. But I'm surprised they had that much of a margin. I am surprised about these two games. I'm surprised that the Texans, for one, beat the Jaguars, but two, to beat them by 20 points, that's pretty impressive. And then the same thing with the Colts versus Baltimore. That's impressive to still win by a field goal. That's really impressive. Yeah, this game was wild. We really need to talk about the Broncos and where they're going to place, because the Broncos have put themselves in a bad situation to where they're really going to have to revamp their team through free agency and really be careful with the cap, because they don't have the assets in the draft to really change that team unless they draft very well. Dolphins, they looked amazing. Patriots versus Jets, not surprising, low-scoring game, close game. Get that nod to the Patriots, and the Steelers with another win over the Raiders, also not surprising. Bills over Commanders, also not surprising. Great win for them. Close game, not surprised the Chargers won, but I feared it was going to be a close game. But hey, they finished in that fourth quarter, so give them that nod. You know, that's their one big knack, is they can't finish the fourth quarter, so give them that nod. Chiefs versus Bears. The Chiefs were bound to have a good game. I saw that this was like America's game of the week, and I was like, dude, they're going to get blown out. And I was right. The Chiefs are just way too much for the Bears. And then Bengals versus Rams. I had the Bengals losing this game, but I could also see them. I want to see the offense do better. I really do. But it is a good Rams team. So 49ers versus Giants. This isn't surprising. That's what we all expected. I'm surprised the Falcons didn't score too many points. They only put up 6-20. Lions-wise, you'd like to put up a little bit more points, but you still be a good defense. Like the NFC South has all good defenses. It's just the offenses that we have question marks for. And this is the one where it's like the Saints really need to revamp that offense. Whatever you have to do, because the defense is good, the special teams is good, but that offense is that big question mark. It's like, if they showed up, they'd be a really good team, but they don't. And the Packers almost lost this game, but they did make a comeback. So good for them. Seattle, I know we all kind of figured Seattle was going to beat the Panthers. And then upset of the week, the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, surprisingly, and by multiple possessions. That's really good for the Cardinals. I wonder how they're going to evaluate their team now, just because of that win. Like, how are they going to think of themselves, and then how is everyone else going to perceive them? I'm really interested. And then the Eagles versus the Bucks, another win for them, which it's not surprising. A lot of these games weren't surprising, a couple close ones, but this is the main game. The Cowboys versus the Cardinals really threw me off. And then previewing into college football, a couple good matchups to look at is Utah versus Oregon State. That's going to be a good one. Going in, Penn State plays Northwestern. I think that's going to be a blowout. USC versus Colorado, I don't know how to feel about this, because USC is good, but I don't know how to feel about their defense. That's the thing about Oregon. Oregon had a defense. I don't know about USC. If USC's defense isn't there, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game against Colorado. I think USC, show my prediction, I think USC will win it, but still, that's a game to watch out for that could be potentially really good. Florida versus Kentucky, that might be close. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. Georgia versus Auburn might be another game that might be close, but just keep an eye on. Michigan versus Nebraska, I expect a blowout. I don't know how to feel about Texas because if they have another close game, I feel like this would be a good game. But if Texas is how Texas plays, I feel like this is going to be, I won't say a blowout, but it should be a multiple possession lead. This I expect to be, this should be a blowout. If you're a top 25 team, you should blow out Vanderbilt. This is one of my games of the week, LSU versus Ole Miss. I expect that to be a really good game. I think that's going to be a nice, fun one. SEC matchups are always fun to watch. Oregon versus Stanford, I expect a blowout. Iowa State against Oklahoma, I wouldn't say a blowout, but I expect Oklahoma to do pretty well. Notre Dame versus Duke, that could potentially be a really good game. It just depends on how Notre Dame's playing. Like, if Notre Dame's playing better than how they played against Ohio State, then I'd say Notre Dame wins this by far. But we'll see. It's college football. Two ranked teams play. Keep an eye out for it. It could be a good game. Could also not be. It's up in the air. South Carolina versus Tennessee. I expect it's one of these games where you expect them to win by multiple possessions, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't a big blowout. And right now, the same thing for Alabama. That could change though, depending on how they play. They could play better, but that's another game that's similar to Tennessee. And then Washington versus Arizona, I expect that to be a blowout. And then Fresno State against Nevada, I expect that to be a blowout. Not too many really good games, but definitely I'd have circled on games of the week, 5 p.m. Central Eastern, ESPN, LSU versus Ole Miss. Maybe keep an eye out for Kansas, Texas. Keep an eye out for these two SEC games, Florida and Kentucky, and then Georgia and Auburn. Those could be good ones. And then USC and Colorado. There are a couple games where we're sitting here and saying, yeah, those could all be good games. We can't confirm for sure just because we really don't know how they're going to play. But there could be a couple good games this week. Just keep your eyes out for them. Be flexible, and look at halftime. If it's like a close score, it's a higher scoring game, I probably would tune in because I'd expect it to be really good. But yeah, there's a lot of ifs, so I can't really say for sure like, hey, watch this game. But definitely watch that LSU versus Ole Miss game. That's my projection for a really good game, really fun game to watch. But I know today was a shorter episode, but just trying to figure out the schedule and how I'm doing things. But tomorrow should be predictions for college football. And I do have an updated injury list, so I should be able to really evaluate that better. But that's the plan for tomorrow. I know it's a shorter video, sorry, but thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and tell me in the comments what you think I should talk about next. Thanks for watching.